Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Yeah. Hey. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Deliberate Millionaire stream. How are you doing? I'm Rosemary Nani Knight. I am the Prosperity Minister and business coach for ambitious spiritual people determined to thrive, to prosper, to make at least six figures whilst living deliberately within their true design, living within their purpose. Okay, I support you in what's the word, letting go of the pain, the limiting beliefs of the past, and rising victorious in your true design life. Your true design life is one of freedom, of fulfillment, a financially abundant life, a love drenched life. If you will claim it, if you will claim it. Okay, so we're looking at boundaries today. We're looking at boundaries today. But before we go into that, we're going to very quickly, because this is going to be a bit of a short one today because I have a client call in a minute. But I thought I'd come in and say, hey, anyway, we're going to start with our affirmation. I think it's going to be the final time we have this particular affirmation. I am already loved. I am free to be me. We're talking about freedom today, setting boundaries, gaining freedom. Okay. But the foundation of this is knowing that you are loved by the divine, that your foundation, your source is the divine. Because if you don't have that deep knowing, setting boundaries becomes practically impossible because you're trying to get all your needs met by the people in your life. And so then you're willing to allow them to do whatever they need to do in order to be the source for you. And we can no longer allow this to be the case because it limits you in ways that you don't even know, actually. But let's sing this affirmation first, and then we'll get into this. I am already loved. I relax, cause I'm already loved. I am already loved. I relax, cause I'm already loved. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. I relax, cause I'm already loved. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. I relax, cause I'm already loved. I relax, cause I'm already loved. I relax, cause I'm already loved. Woohoo! You're already loved. You're already loved. You're already loved. So as I said earlier, that is the foundation of everything, knowing that you are loved, knowing that you and your source, whatever you call your source, I call him the divine, um, that you're at one, that there is connection. When you know your source, your true source, and it's easier to set boundaries. And boundaries are absolutely essential. In fact, to me, it is an act of self respect, it's an act of self love. Sometimes people mistake boundaries as in saying no when you need to say no and saying yes when you want to say yes, of course. But putting limitations around the way people treat you, around the way people speak. Well, not you can't control what people say, but you can control what people are allowed to say around you. You can start to set the tone for how people are with you, train people on how to treat you. Okay? What they want to think about or what they want to say to other people has nothing to do with you. However, there needs to be a certain amount of this is how I choose to allow people to treat me. And you train the people in your life on what this looks like. Okay? First and foremost, however, you need to be clear on what this looks like for you. If you have been that person who is practically a doormat for most people, you have this martyr complex, the savior of the world thing going on, where you've been giving and giving and giving and saying yes to everybody all of the time. And the reason why this is so critical is, well, one, there's no freedom in it. Two, from an energetic perspective, you're trying to get your needs met from other people in your life now, and they're probably trying to get their needs met from you. You all are messing around with a very limited amount of energy. Okay, so it's like I'll take a little bit of energy from you, and then they'll take it back from you, and then instead of, this is why I started by saying, you must know that your source is the divine. Not just know it, you need to be living as though your source is the divine, because from that, your connection with the divine, you get an unlimited amount of energy that you can then overflow into other people if you choose to. When you do not have boundaries and you are for the most part generally falling foul of codependency, there's a circle of people all trying to share a very limited amount of energy. Okay, which is why it starts to get quite painful, because this person takes some energy away from you, making you feel drained. You try to get the energy back. You, as the ambitious spiritual person, you might be trying to get the energy back by being the nicest person on the block. In order to be the nicest person on the block, you have to deny who you actually are. You cannot be free to be you whilst you're trying to be the nicest, kindest, always giving person on the planet. It's impossible. It's impossible. You might tell yourself, it's like a lot of people come on the phone with me sometimes and they're telling me how I just love to give. It just fills my heart with joy to give. And I know they believe this. You might even believe this. They actually believe this, but it's not true. It's not true. It's not that we do not enjoy being of service to others. Of course we do. There's, however, a very big difference between people pleasing and people serving. Most of the people who come speak to me on the phone, especially if they're not working with me yet, are people pleasing. Okay. And they're confusing it with people serving. People pleasing, as I say, is when you are all trying to get this limited amount of energy. You, as the ambitious spiritual person who wants to change people's lives, who wants to do all the great things on the planet, make a difference and all of that stuff, you will cloak it in terms of I have to give. It makes me feel good to give. And you will think that the divine even wants you to give in this way, to lay down your life, sacrifice everything in order to give to your fellow person. Where you are coming from when you're doing this giving makes a huge difference to the impact you are going to have. Usually, when you're doing it from a place of codependency and trying to get your needs met, even though you're cloaking it in, I'm just so giving and I really want to be nice and blah, 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 you do feel some resentment. Why? Because you're giving with expectation. You're expecting that these people that you are giving to should also give back to you in kind whenever you want it. But you're also expecting that they should read your mind because you're not always asking for what you want. No, you're being a bit sneaky about it. You want them to love you so much that they read your mind and they know what you need. And so there's resentment building up in you, but that resentment comes in conflict with your deep desire to be the savior of the world. And so you're trying very hard not to feel resentful, and you're beating yourself up for feeling resentful. So you're trying to pretend it's not there. You're denying it, which takes up a lot of energy as well. And then you are still trying to be the best person on the planet, and it just gets messy. It just gets crazy messy. Okay. It eats at your self-confidence. It drains your energy, which means you are no longer available to start living in your purpose. This relationships is one of the biggest reasons why people do not live in their purpose, because you're so busy navigating the dramas of the people in your life that you do not have the energy to give to building your actual life. Okay. And you're also confusing and deceiving yourself into thinking that this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. But it's not. It is not. Let's just be very clear about it. It's not. You need to set limits on how people treat you, on how much time you spend with certain people. You need to. Now, most of us know this stuff, so it's not like I'm saying something so revolutionary here. But not many people actually do it, because at the heart of everything is this feeling that if you try to set boundaries, that you will lose everyone and you'll be alone, and you're so scared of being alone, even though you already feel pretty dang lonely. You are surrounded by people but you still feel very lonely because nobody gets you. You keep having to be something other than you in order to be accepted by them, or at least so you think, or so you tell yourself. And you're so trapped in this way of thinking, you don't think it's possible for you to set boundaries. You talk about it, you think about it, but then do you hold to it? Do you get clear on this is how I expect people to treat me and demand that people treat you that way? Whether it's with your children, whether it's with your partner, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with your friends, whether it's with your colleagues at work, whatever. You are the one that has to set the tone for how people get to treat you. So, first and foremost, you need to get clear on how you would like to be treated, not what you think you have to accept, but how would you like to be treated? How would you like to be treated? And then get yourself out of situations. Sometimes I'm speaking to people who are very deliberately putting themselves into situations where they are being mistreated, or they're where they feel beholden to like parents. So living with parents when the relationship isn't working, but you feel you have to live with this parent. And it's like, but then because you're living with this parent also then feels that they have some authority over telling you what to do, even though you're a 40-year-old person or whatever. And it's like, why have you put yourself in this situation? Now, sometimes, yeah, circumstances mean that you have to be in that situation. But I would suggest to you, honey, get out of that situation as quickly as possible. Okay, as quickly as possible. And even in the middle of that circumstance, you can still set the tone for how you are treated by this parent, or that's just an example, but you can still set the tone by this parent, by this child, whoever it is that you're living with. You still get to set the tone for how this works. It may cause some ruckus or ruckus. Be brave to have the confrontations that you need to have in order to set yourself free. Freedom does come with a price, okay? Freedom does come with a price. Sometimes people forget that. The price sometimes is that you state very clearly what it is that you expect and you demand that you get it. Okay. It isn't selfish for you to decide, no, when I do not want to do something, I do not want to do it. And it's okay for me to say no. It is not selfish for you to use your time for yourself rather than using it to fulfill whoever's agenda for you. It is not selfish for you to set boundaries. It is courageous. It is necessary. It gives you time to do the things that your life is actually supposed to be about. It is necessary for you to set boundaries. But again, I keep saying this. First and foremost, you need to respect yourself enough to know how you would like to be treated. And that sometimes is, if you don't know how you want to be treated, and you just have vague ideas of, I don't like that way, I don't like the way this person is speaking to me, and you just have these vague ideas. No, get your journal out and write out, what would I prefer in my relationships? What would I prefer in my relationships with, and think of specific people in your life. What would I prefer? How would I prefer that this goes? And then start asking for it. Start demanding it, and let there be some consequences for, okay, if you do not treat me in this way, or, and okay, I'm not saying be super regimented, but I am saying be clear. Make clear requests about what you would like from a relationship with whoever it is. Make clear requests. Do not assume people know. Do not assume that people will treat you the same way you're treating them. People have different standards of, they have different standards and different expectations. If you do not have a conversation, making it very clear what you expect, then you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Boundaries are necessary. It starts, however, with you getting clear on what it is that you expect, what you want from each relationship, and then asking for it. Then putting consequences in place where if people are not willing to honor your boundaries, what are you going to do about it? Make a choice. Get clear about this stuff, okay? Get clear about this stuff. Don't just leave it to chance. Don't just expect people to read your mind. Don't just expect that people should know. They don't know. If you do not tell them, how is anybody going to know? So come on, respect yourself enough to be clear about what you want out of relationships and start asking for it. And yes, if necessary, step away from relationships where the person is unable to fulfill your expectations. I know it's a two-way street here. So I'm not just saying that you get to ask. Well, you do get to ask. So do they. They get to ask whatever. And you get to choose, do I want to fulfill theirs? Just as they get to choose whether they want to fulfill your boundaries or not. So it's a two-way street. But in most relationships, you are going to be the most self-aware person. Okay. Not always, but for the most part, we're surrounded by people who do not necessarily do as much self-development work as we do. So you're going to be the most self-aware person. So you need to kind of take the lead and say, this is my expectation around this. Please, can you not do this? Or can you do that? Blah, blah. Whatever it is, ask for what you want and expect to receive it. And then make sure that there are certain consequences in place. And when I say consequences, it doesn't have to be horrible. It can just simply be that you just don't spend as much time with this person anymore because you recognize this person is not actually willing to live within the boundaries of your boundary, basically. And that's okay. They have a right to. So you can't demand and you can't force. Well, you can demand, but you can't force anybody to do anything. But you can make your expectations very clear. Okay? It's very clear, guys, so that they know for sure when they're stepping over your boundaries in ways that do not suit you. So that you can very clearly say, remember, I said this. Well, okay, this is the consequence, or this is what I've chosen to do next, or this is your last chance, or something along those lines. But you need to have the courage to back yourself, knowing that your foundation, your source is the divine. So whatever they choose to do, you and the divine are fine. Whatever they choose to do, you are okay because you have the divine. You're not alone in this. And you know what? Come into the gathering. Come into my world, because then you'll be surrounded by people who get what is going on with you. You can share what's going on, and we can help you see what you're not seeing on your own. Okay? But you get a copy of my book, Remove the Blocks. The link is around this video. The link is in my bio if you're on Instagram. Get a copy of the book. Come into my world. I will invite you to come into the gathering whenever it's open, But come into my world first. And yes, set boundaries. Now I need to go off and do my call. I'm already 5 minutes late. So I'm going to go. Okay, so just a little bit there for you to think about. It's time for you to go forth and prosper. Until the next time, my loves, if you have any questions about boundaries or anything like that, please feel free to put it in comments somewhere and I will answer them in a future live stream. Much amazing love. Go forth and prosper. Bye.